Hi, and welcome to the Dirty Lazy Girl podcast. I'm Stephanie Laska, and Tamara's on vacation this week. I know. She was so inspired to get out of town, I guess. But I am very lucky because I'm going solo today with a special guest. And this is my friend Carol, who is a member of Dirty Lazy Keto. And she is age 59. She has lost 157 pounds. And you may even remember seeing Carol because she's quite famous, you know. She was on the cover of Women's World magazine with her sister. So we're so thankful to have her on the show today. And I'm going to go ahead and get started by asking her the very first question, which is, Carol, welcome. Tell us, how long have you struggled with your weight?
Oh my gosh, like my whole life. Actually, since about 12 years old on, once I hit puberty, it was like, I started having weight problems. And when I was a senior in high school, I remember I had to go to the doctor once, so I remembered my weight. It was 180 pounds. So pretty much my adult life has been up and down dieting and all that. So, yeah.
Oh, I hear that. I think every single one of our listeners has a memory similar to yours. So I think you're sharing that is very brave, and it makes us all really connect to a memory that we have from our childhood of going to the doctor and not liking that. I remember mine was 81 pounds, and I think I was in like first grade or second grade. I don't know, but it seemed like some kind of horrible number that everyone freaked out about. So anyway, how tall are you now, Carol? And tell us about your heaviest weight of all time.
I am 5'3", and my heaviest weight was 270 pounds, which I just recently found that number looking at some doctor's notes. I didn't even like to look when they would weigh me. So, but yeah, 270 pounds.
Well, I can relate to that. I know mine was pretty close to 300. So we have a lot in common, Carol. I think that must be why we're friends and that we get along so well. We're in the same company, safe place.
Yeah.
So tell me, Carol, and tell our listeners of Dirty Lazy Girl podcast, if you feel comfortable, tell us about maybe some of your previous weight loss attempts and maybe why you think those just weren't successful.
Well, I've been on, I don't know how many diets, just a million of them, all different kinds, or you starve yourself, or you eat just certain things. The thing with dieting, that it's like you're on a diet, and then as soon as you go off, you're going to eat normally again. And I've even gone so far as 2 weight loss surgeries. Back in 2001, I had a vertical band gastroplasty. And I remember my doctor telling me, you can fight me on this and you will win. And he was right. I did. You gradually start eating a little bit more and a little bit more. And, as soon as you do that, the weight comes back. And when I had, 2005, I had gotten up to the 270, and I underwent a gastric bypass, which is a pretty major operation. And I thought, well, maybe finally I'll have this conquered. And funny thing, you can gain the weight back with that too. It takes a little time, but I managed to do it. And of course, you feel like a horrible failure when that happens. You've already been through 2 major surgeries, and all these diets, and nothing really clicked before. And what I didn't know then that I do now is it takes a little bit of work up here in your brain to figure out the right way to eat and make it a lifestyle and not, a diet. So, yeah, I've been through quite a few different things.
Well, again, I don't think you're alone on that one. I remember myself just probably, I've been on them all myself too, like the shake diets and starving yourself diet, right? You mentioned that one. I have not had the weight loss surgery, but I feel like I've tried and failed on every other program out there. So I can really relate to what you said.
It's so horrible because you just feel like, you can't succeed at this. This is the one area of your life where you can't seem to ever be on top of it,
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. And it's something else that I think will really resonate with our listeners, because for me, it hit home, is when you said, I did the program or I did this, and then I thought I was fixed. And I totally remember that feeling where I did the fat and fiber diet or something, and I lost a bunch of weight, and I thought, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Go back to my, previous yummy foods. So it's crazy, right? Like that we think all that in our brain, we didn't make that connection.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's the one thing that really helped me was when I got on keto, realizing that this was not just a diet. This was something that you could actually live with. And I remember being 2 weeks into Dirty Lazy Keto and thinking to myself, I could actually do this. You know, I mean, I could actually live like this. And, you know, it wasn't that hard. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but just being able to eat when you're hungry and not starving yourself is, you know, that's what makes it so difficult when you're dieting, because you never really feel satisfied, you know.
Right. No, you feel like you're missing out on things, right? Like
Yeah,
you kind
sure.
of look around at everybody else and their plate looks better, or,
Yeah.
you know, you're feeling like,
You have to eat
how long
some
can I
beets
do
and
this?
hummus or something, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's the
So,
truth. Well, when you were heavier, Carol, I mean, take us back a little bit
mhm.
to that mindset, because, you know, it was a long time ago, but I'm still at the same time, I bet it's still fresh.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, and I'm glad it is in a way, because I don't think I'll ever forget how that feels, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was. I've been in maintenance now for I guess about 3.5 years, and or 3 years or so. But yeah, it still feels fresh. You still feel that feeling of defeat. It takes a while to get past that, you know.
So back, you know, 3.5, 4, 5 years ago, when you were at your heavier weight, tell
Hmm.
us, did it hold you back with
Oh yeah,
anything? Did you have limitations?
I did. I had a lot of knee problems, and I had osteoarthritis in my knees, both knees, and I had to get injections every 6 months, which were really painful. And they did help, you know, for a good 4 or 5 months. I wouldn't have any problems, but then they would start back. And, you know, as soon as that 6 months was here, I'd be like, you know, at the door ready to get them, because, you know, they hurt so bad. Um, that kept me from a lot of things, because I couldn't walk very far without having to sit down. Also, I have sleep apnea because of my weight, and so I used a CPAP machine at night. So yeah, definitely. I mean, you just feel like you know, you're just super tired all the time. You have no energy, and you want to get out there and do things, you know, with grandkids and all that, but you just, you know, you just hurt too bad. So yeah.
Yeah, the limitations are real. I mean, what you said about having pain with walking and not being able to sleep and the energy.
Mm-hmm. Very real.
So how did you first hear then about Dirty Lazy Keto? I'm curious.
Well, I started kind of with the Atkins concept. I've done Atkins before, but you know, it's very strict in that, I mean, there's not a lot of variety in it. And I was talking to my daughter one day on the phone, and she mentioned that there was a very lazy keto, you know, and here I am. So I signed up, and I've been with it ever since, you know, and there actually is a doable way to lose weight. And I mean, it's like, it's crazy, you know, but it works. So
When you said lazy, that made me laugh because it's true, right? I mean, it's like, who doesn't want to do something that's like the lazy version?
right, right. You know, and I mean, it's for everyday people that just can't, you know, I can't count every bite that I put in my mouth and weigh it. And I mean, I know that's setting myself up for failure. Now, I know some people track, and that's great, especially at first, you know, and if that helps them, you know, of course, but I needed something that I could just live with. And if I'm out running an errand or something and I'm hungry, I can stop and get a hamburger, throw the buns out the window for the birds, you know, and you know, just, you know, I can eat. It's not like I have to just sit there and starving, you know, to death. And, you know, if I want to eat something late at night, I do. I mean, you know, I try not to, but sometimes I'll get a little hungry at night, and I allow myself certain things after like dinner time, like, you know, maybe a bowl of broccoli or some, you know, something like that, healthy. Uh, so yeah, it's just totally doable in this day and age, this fast pace, and everybody's running, getting this, you know, you can always find something to eat, you know.
Mhm. And you know what's funny, Carol? I don't know if you remember this, but years ago when I was first starting out just on social media,
Mhm.
and I came across some quote that you'd shared about throwing your bun off the window of your car, and I just thought that was so funny. And I'm like, this is someone I could be really good friends with. Like, that's the real deal. You buy your bun, you're out
That's
shopping, you
right.
get a burger, and you just chuck that baby out the window. And I'm like, I love
Exactly.
this girl.
Sometimes if I'm really hungry, I get two, and you don't have to worry about that. You're just eating the meat and the bread and so, you don't have to worry about it and feel like you've blown your diet or something like that.
It's the real deal. You're the real deal. I think that's what you're classy and you're the real deal, Carol. Well, was
Um,
there a time where you realized that Dirty Lazy Keto was going to be the right lifestyle for you? Or did it happen all at once or
Actually,
gradually?
like I said, in the first few weeks, I was, I'm eating really good and I'm, looking at recipes and things like that. And there's so many things that you can modify now that, probably weren't available back in those, earlier days of, like Atkins and things like this. There's just modifications that you can make all over the place. And that's a good challenge. It gets you to try other foods, like making zucchini spaghetti or things like that. And these are foods I really typically did not eat before. So I'm actually eating, a lot of healthier foods than I ever have because I was the queen of junk food before.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I've seen so many of your great pictures. You do a great job with your photos of cheesecake and chaffles and blueberry.
Mhm.
I think it's blueberry chaffles. I love that picture. Well,
Yeah.
everything you make looks really good, but do you have a couple of favorites?
I do like the chapels a lot. I don't make them all the time, but I typically like to have eggs and sausage for breakfast. But I love in your new cookbook, I love that spinach recipe with the stuffed chicken,
Mm.
chicken for supper, I think it's called.
I try to
Um,
make the names fun because,
yeah, yeah. And
losing weight shouldn't be boring, right?
right, right. I mean, it's just so many things you can put in there that are healthy, and I don't miss the other foods because I can make something comparable to it with keto. So
Right. You said like being able to be flexible and make
Mhm.
things, make old favorites or make healthy new dishes. It makes you feel like you're not missing out. At least that's how I
Yeah,
feel.
it really does. Because I can have a dessert if I want it. And I try not to do that every day or anything. I mean, the cheesecake, yeah, I could probably just eat that all day, but you got to do it within reason. But all in all, I do eat so much healthier foods now. And I think, I mean, how can you go wrong doing that?
So how long did it take you to reach your goal? I know that's the first question people always ask me is like, well, how
Mhm.
long did it take? Can I do this by the wedding or by Christmas? And I'm like, oh goodness. So I have
Well,
to ask that question.
yeah, it took me about a year and a half. And the funny thing about that is people will always ask you when you go on some kind of diet or eating program, how much are you trying to lose? And of course I'd get that question a lot. And when you're that heavy, I never even I never thought of a goal weight, a number. I never thought I would get anywhere close to one. So I never really had to think about it. But as I started losing, and it took me about a year and a half to get down to 125 pounds. And that was my goal weight. Since then, I wanted to lose a little bit more. And so it's just where I'm happy at. I wanted to be at 115. And so that's what I got down to. But I also have to, maintain that also. So to where I don't keep going under because obviously you don't want to, look unhealthy or anything. So yeah, it took about a year and a half to get there, and I've been in maintenance ever since.
Well, I'm so proud of you. You look amazing and I know
Thank
that
you.
you feel healthy and you feel good about yourself. And that's really what shines through when I hear you talk about where you're living, the kind of space that you're at right now.
And to be able to put clothes on and feel like, oh wow, I can actually look decent in something, and I was never able to do that before. To enjoy clothes shopping and things like that. So it's like a whole new world.
Now, Carol, how long have you been in maintenance?
I'd say about 3 years, somewhere around 3 years mark.
And how is the maintenance different then from maybe in the past?
It's the same concept. uh, I've learned that you just have to find your balance because some people react differently to carbs, and a few added carbs might put a little weight on them. Some people, they don't, they can have a little bit more. So you really kind of have to find what your balance is in maintenance. Part of the reason, this is why I weigh every day, because, and I know some people don't like to weigh every day, and to each his own, whatever you're comfortable with, of course, but I like to do that, especially in maintenance, because if there's a problem, I want to know about it, and, but having,
I can't agree with that one more. If there's a problem, you need to know about it really fast, because those,
and and that's being brutally honest with yourself. Now, I don't freak out over 2 or 3 pounds either, because some people, that really kind of messes with their head. What did I do wrong? I weighed this yesterday, now I gained 3 pounds, I'm doing the same thing. So you have to be able to accept that, your body weight does fluctuate. I weigh at the same time every day, but one day I may do nothing different and I might be up 2 or 3 pounds, or vice versa, under, so you kind of have to keep that in perspective for what it is. Of course, you can tell by your clothes also, and how your clothes feel. So that's just something that I do. I weigh every day, just kind of get an idea where I'm at. If it does go up a little bit more than I'm comfortable with, then I know I need to maybe cut back on the volume a little bit. I tend to eat more like berries since I'm in maintenance. I still eat them in moderation, but I do like some strawberries and blueberries. But again, it's finding that balance of what you can eat and kind of to keep you about where you're comfortable at. So.
Right. No, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm like, yes. Like, especially the being honest with yourself. For me, that was just such a huge part of, and there's nothing wrong with getting on the scale and saying, okay, I'm up a couple pounds, yes, that might be normal. But then again, it might be because, I'm going to be honest, I have been, putting peanut butter in my smoothies every morning, and maybe I don't need that.
Yeah, maybe you need to cut back just a little bit. And that kind of gives me an early warning, on things like that.
It's just information, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, you can't, if it's up a couple pounds, well, could be water weight, so it's okay. It's all right to be a few pounds either way, just so you kind of hover around the area that you feel good at. And I know maintenance, goal weight, things like that, that's different for everybody. I've seen people that, their goal weight is 180 pounds or 160 pounds. And, if that's where they feel healthy at and comfortable, then that's what they should do. I don't think that everybody should have the same, I mean, it's not about having a perfect body. It's more being healthy where you're comfortable with. And I knew that when I got to 115, I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable here. This is where I'm good at. This is what I feel like, I have a smaller bone structure and I feel good there. So that's my little number right there that I kind of hover around. So.
Well, like you said, everyone's going to have a different strategy. Some people, it might be a number on the scale. So for others, it could be just to get off medication, or to have a different blood pressure reading, or to be able to do something physical like climb stairs. So you're right. It's different for everybody. Yeah. I'm curious, Carol, it sounds like your brain, the way you talk to yourself went through a transformation as well as your body. So can you tell us a little bit about how you think that changed, that inner voice about seeing yourself as a smaller person? Because that does not happen overnight.
I was just going to say that does not. And I
does not. People always think it is like, oh, I'll just wake up at 115 or 160 and I'll be like, amazing. It's like, no, that's not.
No, it was a process. Even when I actually got to my goal weight, my first one of 125 pounds, I would look in the mirror and I'm like, pointing things out. My husband's like, honey, that's not, it's skin, excess skin, because, anybody that weighs that much, you're going to have some of that, and it's going to need tightening a little. And, but it's not necessarily that I need it. I just kept seeing myself as a heavier person. And it does take a while. I mean, sometimes I'll be walking into a building and see my reflection and I'm like, oh, wow, I guess I am thin enough now, but it doesn't come naturally. You lose weight and you think it's going to solve everything, but you still got to work on your confidence and your body image, and stop seeing yourself as that big heavy person that you were, and start taking care of this body.
And does that voice ever creep back in your head? Because I know sometimes, I'll be honest, that happens to me.
So sometimes, yeah, a little bit. I'll catch a mirror sometime and I'm like, but not so bad now. It just took a while, but it did take a while to get comfortable where I'm at.
Yeah, it takes effort, right? It's something you
Yeah,
have to be mindful of, because
yeah,
that voice can creep back up on you when you put on a swimsuit and say, "Oh, look at that."
yeah.
It's
And
like,
I'll
no,
tell you
no,
something
squash that
more.
voice, squash that voice. I look fantastic, and I'm going to go rock that swimsuit and go play with my grandkids and get out and have
Yeah.
some fun, right?
Well, I started, one thing that helped me a lot with that is I started taking yoga classes regularly. And for one thing, and you don't think of that as a big workout, but it really does, tone your muscles very well. And I think that that helped me also with the positive body image, just doing yoga, because you're kind of in touch with your body, and you're just more aware of it, and you're doing something that feels good, and it's so healthy for you. So I think that that has been a big help for me also, just practicing yoga.
Yeah, you're right. It really connects your mind with your body. And I think that doing yoga or any kind of physical activity can accomplish that, where you're just feeling more connected in who you are. You're not separate.
Yeah.
So what about support? Like, in addition to exercise and activity and yoga, did you find support during your journey, and how did that help you?
Actually, yes. As a matter of fact, in the magazine article, it's done with myself and my sister, and she is also in the group, as you know, and she has been doing it about the same length of time that I have, and we've both lost a lot of weight on it, and it works for her great too. So having her for support has been wonderful. My husband has been very supportive. He doesn't really like that I'm at 115. He prefer that I weigh a little bit more, but he's very supportive. But then this group also, I mean, that's why, it's like, even though I'm at goal weight, I still find this group so supportive. We all need support. And it doesn't matter where you're at. If if you've got 100 pounds to lose, if you've got 5 pounds to lose, we still need that support. And I still learn a lot from people in the group, because, you don't know it all. I mean, there's always little things you read, and it's like, oh, I didn't even thought about that. So, yeah, having support is huge. It really helps. But I would tell anybody, though, that even if they don't have support, because I know a lot of people have to cook for their kids and their husbands and all that. They have to make, certain things, and that's hard. So I understand that. I know it's hard. Um, to me, there are ways to kind of get around it a little bit. Since my husband doesn't really do keto, I typically make like a meat and a vegetable. And, if he wants anything, additional, he'll fix it, and he doesn't have a problem with it at all. So, that's his way of helping me out, because I don't really want to cook macaroni and cheese. I just,
Right. No, I'm the same way with my kids.
I'm
It's like, hey, if you guys want tortillas or rice or beans or pasta or
gonna,
whatever, it's like, you make it yourself. Like, there's a pot, there's a pan, boil some water, there's a
yeah,
microwave. Come on. It's like, if I'm
absolutely.
making salmon and, steamed broccoli or something for everybody, and maybe some Alfredo sauce, they can pitch in and put
Sure.
together that last little side
It's a
dish.
good bonding thing for kids, to go in there with dad and you guys make some macaroni and cheese. I mean, so yeah, but support is good, and this group has just been wonderful for that. And like I said, that's why I still need it.
And now you mentioned your sister. I'm going to hold up this cover again. Here she is. And tell us how much weight your sister has actually lost on Dirty
Well,
Lazy Keto.
oh God, we'd have to do the math. I lost 157, so whatever the difference is, there, she's lost over 100. I know. I want to say 120 something or 130. Something like
It's
that.
a lot of weight. You two sisters have
Yeah.
lost. I'm so proud of you both.
And we even live in the same town, but we talk every day, and she'll be sitting there eating her 2 good yogurt while we talk, and I mean, it's yeah, it's wonderful having support.
Now, I'm imagining that there were some ups and downs. It's not always consistent weight loss. Did you ever have any plateaus, Carol? And how
Oh
did you
yeah.
overcome those?
I yeah, I would periodically have plateaus, and they can get very frustrating, and I think a lot of people, that's kind of a make it break or break it moment for them, because they think, I'm doing this right, I'm eating what I should, I'm exercising, and nothing's happened in weeks. And I have had stalls that have lasted a month before. And yes, it gets discouraging, but I just kept telling myself, if I'm doing the right things, that to me, it's an indication that you should kind of double check your labels, make sure you're eating the right foods, you're not adding something that's full of sugar and not know it. But if you're eating what you should be eating, and everything's the same, then you just stick with it, because it does, just like everybody talks about the whoosh effect. all of a sudden one day you wake up and there's 4 or 5 pounds gone. And I'm like, so yeah, it's, you kind of have to expect it because, your body doesn't lose weight and just keep dropping straight down. I wish it did, but there's got to be an adjustment phase that your body gets into and kind of, adjust to that weight. And then, you just keep moving down.
It's kind of like what you said earlier about getting on the scale. And I think it's naive to expect that you're going to always have the same exact number on the scale every single day. And it's also naive, I think, to expect that you're going to lose weight consistently day after day, week after week. Of course, your body's going to adjust here and there. It's a human organism that's alive, and it needs to like go, whoa, what's this lady doing? Maybe it needs to kind of stabilize and bones and blood and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's got to stabilize where it's at. And then, you just keep pushing. That this is the time when you really want to just talk to yourself a lot and get the support and just keep pushing, and it'll get there. You don't have to lose everything, in a month. It just, the main thing is consistency.
The consistency. Yeah. And checking your labels, like you said, and maybe uncovering a problem, but mostly it's just keep on.
Keep on what you're doing. And, sooner or later, your body's just gonna, you're gonna lose the weight. So.
I love that. Well, were there any surprises in your journey, Carol? I'm curious.
Any surprises?
Anything happened along the way that you were like, nah? Like I remember the day I looked at the side of a can of whipped cream and I was like, shut up, I can have whipped cream. Like sometimes things happen when you're like, this is the most exciting moment ever. So I was curious if there were any fun surprises along your way.
I get excited to try new recipes. I'll look in your cookbook, for instance, and I'll see something I'm thinking, gosh, I never thought I could have that. And then, so those kind of surprises are great. When you said surprises, it made me think of, I had an acquaintance where I used to live, a lady that I would talk to her periodically at the store she worked at. This went on for several months, and then for a long time, I didn't go into that particular store. And I went back in there one day and I said, hey, and I started talking to her, and she did not recognize me. I mean, she literally looked at me like she didn't even know me. And at first I was a little bit like, geez, why is she being so cold? And then when I left the store, she did not know who I was. And I had lost probably 100 pounds in between, but it just didn't dawn on me. So those kind of surprises are interesting. When I realized that she really just didn't know who I was. So,
yeah, and it's weird too, right? Like I'm actually, I don't know why right now, but I'm like starting to cry a little bit because I remember that and it feels weird. Like it was a little bit hurtful. Like I know some of our listeners might be like, oh, that's amazing. They didn't recognize her. But for me, I don't know why I'm crying. It made me feel like kind of embarrassed. Like, well, what was wrong with me before?
Well, I didn't really think it through. I'm thinking, why is she acting like that? And then when it dawned on me, it was like, oh, wow, she really, did not recognize me at all. So, and yeah, I get, the funny thing about getting emotional, I get emotional sometimes reading people's posts, because I see, where they have come from and where they are now and the excitement that they have. Because really, it is something to be excited about. If you stick with it, it works. This concept works. It's like your brain changes over. You make that change in your head, and you realize that you can eat. You don't have to starve yourself anymore. There's so much freedom in it. And all it takes is a little bit of effort to, prepare the right foods for yourself. And I think it's also important to have like snacks handy to eat. I like to make bacon and have, several pieces in the refrigerator. And if I just want a quick snack, I can go grab a piece of bacon. You want to have something, ready. That's helped me a lot too, because you don't want to all of a sudden be looking in the refrigerator and not have anything ready to eat. So, but yeah, I get excited when I see people losing and the posts that they, because so many people have tried other things just like I have.
That is great advice about the bacon and about talking positively to yourself and about keep on. Is there any other tidbit, Carol, that you'd like to share to people who maybe are struggling to lose weight right now?
Oh, well, I would just tell them to keep on it, be consistent. That's all you have to do. You're not going to lose it all overnight, and that's okay, but you're going to steadily lose. And it is total. If I can do this, I'm telling you, anybody can, because like I said earlier, I was a junk food junkie, and I had Reese's peanut butter cups in my night table right by the bed, and every night I'd eat a few because I had just given up. I just thought I'm never going to lose the weight. I might as well just give it. But it is totally doable, and I think that's the best. I know that's the best part of this. It's meant to be for a lifestyle, and it works. So I would just, I hope to encourage other people to just, give it a chance. Be a little bit patient, and your body will drop the weight. And you're going to be so much healthier for eating all the healthy foods that you're eating.
Well, you're living proof, Carol. Any last minute thoughts as we wrap up our episode and our interview today? Any final thoughts for the listeners?
Well, one thing I said to myself the entire time I was in the losing phase is nothing tastes as good as being thin or fills. And I've heard that before. It's not my saying, but it's so true. If you just think about it a few minutes and, snack on the right foods, just remember there is a reward, and it is doable. So, hang in there. Tell her, hang in there. It does work.
It does work. And for any of our friends who want to get started losing weight, I urge them to check out Dirty Lazy Keto. Get started losing weight while breaking the rules. And also one of the Dirty Lazy Keto cookbooks. So Carol, I just want to say thank you. It's so wonderful to see your face and hear your voice for the very first time. We connect a lot on social media, but this is a real treat to have you with us today.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us, Carol. And keto on, my friend.
All right, you too. Take care.
Take care, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. It's Stephanie Laska, and I am one of the podcast hosts with my friend Tamara for Dirty Lazy Girl. Hey, if you're enjoying listening to our free podcast, would you do us the honor of leaving a review on Apple Podcasts? It makes a world of difference. I'm going to give you instructions how, okay? This is how it works. First of all, I'll say it really loudly into the microphone. On your iPhone, select the purple icon. Using the search tool, type in Dirty Lazy Girl. Click on the thumbnail to open it up. Scroll down until you see rating and reviews. Click on the number of stars you'd like to leave, hopefully 5. Scroll down and click leave a review. Type in your review and then hit OK. That's it. You're done. We really appreciate your support. Again, leave us a review, Dirty Lazy Girl, on Apple Podcasts. Thanks.